everyone, please get out there and vote. Especially if you're listening to this on Tuesday. This is Corian. This is the O The Anthem podcast.
Or,
Don't.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 239 of the O The Anthem podcast. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. That's keeping the illusion.
Keeping the good looks. Keeping the good looks.
If you don't know what we're talking about, that's because you are not watching live on Facebook at facebook.com/O The Anthem, where you can see this week and every week's videos. You can also find more O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Twitter and Instagram. Getting back to it, it's 8:13 p.m. Pacific. That makes it 11:13 p.m. Eastern. And O The Anthem is live from coast to coast, broadcasting from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for watching the live stream. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing everything you do, because we appreciate every little bit of it. And before we get too deep into it, I would just like to say real quick for last week, we had our gremlins here. Mostly me had my gremlins here.
Mm-hmm.
And
wait, what were the gremlins? The gremlins keeping you from hitting record?
Yeah.
For the episode?
Yeah. Well, so part of the problem is that I have the pre-record turned on the recorder that we use to transmit the signal.
Sure.
Do the best version of the audio as possible. And it also feeds directly into the laptop, which does a much better job than it used to, but not as high quality audio as before.
Right.
And anytime I was looking over at the recorder, I was seeing the little red ring around the record button.
The pink ring, you might say.
Well, I mean, so when it's not engaged, it's like a lighter red. And when it is engaged, it's a higher red.
Yes.
Like a deeper red. So when I looked at it, I was just like, earlier on, I looked at it, I was just like, oh, okay, we're recording, I hear everything. And then I realized, like, almost at the end of the show, I was like, oh, that had not been happening at all. So
that didn't record at all.
we had to go with our fail-safe of the backup audio. Apologies to anybody who was thrown off by it, but this week, everything is A-okay, and we shouldn't have any problems. So
if you do follow,
knock on wood.
If you follow The Anthem on Instagram, you are about to have a treat, because you're going to see what it looks like when we're recording live. Instagram up as we talk right now. But while I post this, let's talk a little sports ball.
Yeah.
So I just want to start out with, you know what? Let's talk about your topic first. I'll gloat at the end.
What topic are we?
Oh, the Ravens. The Ravens and how well they're doing this year.
Yeah, that game yesterday was very disappointing for many reasons. First of all, I don't understand how Marty Mornhinweg isn't fired in front of everybody in an embarrassing manner yesterday, right after the game. I know. Okay. I'm saying Bisciotti should have been, like, 4 people should have been holding Bisciotti back as he, like, kicks the door to the locker room in and then makes a march directly to Marty Mornhinweg and, like, slaps his clipboard out of his hand or some shit like that. So slaps the surface onto the ground. And it's just like, Marty, get the fuck out of here and don't you ever come back. Don't you ever fucking come back in my face again. I will ruin your life. And just, like, start, like, berating him and slapping him in the face, making him cry and everything like that. And then huff out of the room. And, like, maybe on the way out, just be like, everybody else is next. Just, like, throw an open-ended thing out.
Just to let everybody know.
Let everyone know that they're on thin ice. And then I think that things might have changed a little bit. I'm not saying that. I mean, obviously, there are people with mental disabilities who could manage an offense better than Marty Mornhinweg could.
Is there a chance?
I'm like, at this point, I almost don't think why don't you just find, like, the best Madden player in the world and make him the offensive coordinator over Marty Mornhinweg? Because it couldn't get worse. There's no way it could get worse.
That's not a bad deal.
Yeah, you sign somebody for cheap.
Yeah,
to make him look like a genius.
That guy's making like $13.75 at a Walmart somewhere or a GameStop.
Just have him up in the booth playing on PlayStation. He's just like, this one works. This one works.
Just call him place. All right, so we have to set this up.
All right, John,
somehow.
corner threat.
Yeah, no, he's down. He's the quarterback's down on the field waiting for the call. Yeah. It's actually the play. Winnipeg 273, and that's because he's up there like right trigger, X, got it. All right, plays in. Good.
Rising Phoenix 372. Make sure Alex Collins hits the Y button.
Go for the
when
Y.
He goes through the hole.
Go over the Y button. Yeah. But he could
make sure you do the spin move right when the running back is, or right when the linebacker is about to come up with you, and you'll get right past him for a touchdown. It just happened to me, and if it doesn't happen to you, then clearly you did something wrong.
You just see the offensive coordinator up there, just click.
Just some point during the game, you see a PlayStation controller flying through the crowd, and you're just like, oh man.
They are not following his game plan, I don't think.
Spider-Man 8394 is not pleased today.
But yeah, do you think that they didn't fire anyone because everyone is getting fired at the end of the year?
Oh, if things continue this way, then everyone will be fired. There's no way. I mean, if they miss the playoffs, then I assume everyone is gone. Just because that would be 4 out of 5 years that the Ravens haven't made the playoffs, and that's not acceptable.
And you can give one of those years when it was just injury city, and
well, there were like 2 of those years that it was like we thought it was going to be much better than it was, and then it turned out to be injuries. But we're not injured right now. Like this is playing out the same exact way as those injury seasons were.
Yeah.
Without the same number of cataclysmic injuries. Now, I get it that Joe is without both starting tackles for this game, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but there were years there where the Ravens were like signing people off the street to fill offensive line positions because there wasn't enough to go around. And at least you still have like Yonda out there.
I mean, it was super weird.
One time, for like an entire season.
One time they looked up in the crowd and they pointed, and Corey said, "What, me?" But it was the guy behind you. Yeah. And then they suited him up and they put him on the field.
Yeah, they brought him in. I was just like, I could have played offensive tackle better than him.
Yeah. So the Ravens season is basically over. Can we agree?
I don't think it's basically.
They're 4-5.
Yeah, but we have like 5 really cake matchups coming up. So like
the Cleveland Browns cake matchup?
Yeah.
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 How'd that go the last time?
Well, it didn't go well the last time, but I mean like see, here's the problem. Like you look at the team and you say there's no way they're this bad. And then you watch them play and it's just like it looks like they didn't know it was the right day or like
I was going to say what were you saying on Sunday after the game?
Oh, that Harbaugh went around like knocking on doors. It's like, come on, guys, game time. Is just like, shit, the game's today.
Is that today?
I'm still legally drunk.
All right, I just figured we came into town a day early. All right.
Carolina hit me hard.
Let's go.
Gotta figure a way to sober up before this one.
That's why they call them the Hurricanes, I guess. You're playing the Panthers.
I'm not even on the right. I still thought I was in college.
Oh, it's gonna be bad.
Bobby Bowden's going to be so mad at me.
Anyway, so the Ravens, you can say what you want. The Ravens season's done. I had faith that if they fired...
I think they still can be... They can be like that last wild card team and get embarrassed by the Chargers on like a...
Just please don't do that. But if they don't fire Marty before Sunday, I think that's a recipe for Steve is just saying, you know what? I'm going to fire a lot of them at the end of the year, so why not just let them play it out? Let them have their fun.
If he's sure that he's gonna fire everyone at the end of the season, I think that he should start walking around now and start doing the like, Marty, I wouldn't keep decorating your office if I were you, and just walk away and then be like, what the fuck's that mean?
You see him take his coat off and start to hang it on the thing on the back of the door, and you're like, don't get too comfortable.
Marty, maybe you want to have everything packed up in a box beforehand.
Maybe you don't unpack from that last road trip.
Just in case things go awry.
You never know what might happen. In other sports-related news, though.
Yeah.
The call's available now.
I'm sorry. I think we're out of time.
The call's available now. Dominating the Posse League with an unbelievable 9-0 record.
I don't think it's unbelievable. It happens before.
Wait, has anyone gone 9-0 before?
I don't think in this league anyone has, but I'm just saying that it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. There's undefeated teams.
There are undefeated teams in fantasy football. No one in this league, in a 14-team league, has gone undefeated. And I am going undefeated right now. I don't even need to win out. I am 90% sure I've clinched the playoffs at this point.
We're pretty sure you have. We tried to figure out the math of it.
I do think tomorrow is they're waiting for point adjustments, and then tomorrow we get the congratulations, you won the last week. Because if you opened it, it didn't give you the congratulations.
Well, there's still a game currently being
that's
played.
Right. There's a game going on right now. I just don't have any.
Dallas and Tennessee are in a barn burner, I'm sure.
I mean, the team I'm playing against does have a player in there. If Amari Cooper puts up 100 points today.
Let me see if anything crazy happened while
Amari Cooper runs back 3.
No, but it's all over. It's done.
Okay.
And
final score.
Amari Cooper only put up 16.8 points, so it wasn't enough.
16?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, though. That's not bad.
It's a decent number.
Sure.
I mean, it's not the 100 that
was necessary.
needed.
Yeah. So what's the final score of that game?
156.2 to 68.96.
Ooh, so that's a nice 82 point win.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is what I'm hanging my hat on. I, like many fantasy owners out there, have been struggling. We try and figure out the little things we can do to try and get wins every week.
Yes.
Working the waiver wire. I think I have a really good deep team. Just a couple times it just hasn't worked out for me. Rob has an incredible team in the starting lineup.
Yep.
And then absolutely nothing to speak of after that.
Yeah.
So if something is to go horribly wrong, like if Adam Thielen decides to tear an ACL or something like that, then Rob's
put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Rob's immortal team goes very mortal very quick.
Yeah, but in the end, really, I just want to win in the regular season. I've been pushing so hard to get in the playoffs, and I keep having these teams that fall apart in Week 15. The good news is no one on any of my teams is really pushing for the playoff or is really cruising into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So what usually happens to me is I'm doing real well around Week 13. And then people start getting sad.
Yeah.
Because they're cruising in the playoffs.
Well, you don't want to hurt Jared Goff right before the playoffs start.
Right. So we sit them, and then
so once you're up by 15, you just sit all your stars.
And now I'm banking on Ryan Fitzpatrick getting injured and Jameis Winston going back in the game. And so for some reason, I got to live with the guilt that I'm wishing a leg injury on Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's pretty old already. And I mean, really, let's be frank. It could happen.
I mean, the problem is that many of us in fantasy who have had to try and scrape for wins here have been picking up, like, I picked up Jamal Williams off the waiver wire. I didn't end up actually having to start him because Dalvin Cook decided to make an appearance. But I mean, like, I remember picking up going like, all right, he might get 4 points. Or maybe somebody gets hurt and he gets 14. Whatever happens. I'm living in the now.
To be fair, I also won by 94 points or 84 points with a 0 spot in my RB2 because I woke up at 10 and everything was gravy, so I went back to sleep to enjoy that extra hour. And but somewhere between 10 and 1, Royce Freeman decided he didn't want to play football on Sunday, so they pulled him. And
you didn't have a backup?
I did have a backup. He just happened to be on bye. So yeah. I mean,
shit happens. Whatever.
Anyway, so things are looking good for the calls available now. Resips Locator, not so much. I'm getting a lot of complaints about my performance in my second league, and I just point to my first league and say, this is a difference that drafting makes.
Yeah.
When somebody who knows what they're doing while drafting, when you reach a little bit for Adam Thielen, when I'm putting a team together that makes sense, and I'm not playing in a league with somebody who drafts 4 quarterbacks. There is a team in our league with 4 quarterbacks. They're not doing very well, but they're racking up all the quarterbacks, and it's real hard to get in anywhere with that in a league like that.
It's a nice strategy, though. Like, I had the extra spot, so I picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
And I was just like, maybe I trade him, maybe I don't.
Yep.
Maybe everyone goes fucks themselves. Like...
So now I'm just waiting for an injury and for somebody to come in. Unfortunately, nobody who's come in has done particularly well. Buffalo can't keep a quarterback to save their life.
I would like to get on the Bill Simmons bandwagon on this one. How many awful quarterbacks does Buffalo need to go through before they just call up Colin Kaepernick?
Honestly, at what point do you say, like, all right, listen.
Nathan Peterman's going in there and throwing like 7 interceptions a game. Like, I feel like if you just signed, like, I know that the Bills have their future quarterback per se, like their first round pick who's hurt right now and stuff like that. But I feel like even if you signed Kaepernick for like the league minimum for the rest of this year, which, you know, whether or not he takes that's a different thing. But I mean, like, even if you make the offer and he does sign, I feel like you're selling a shit ton of Bills jerseys with Kaepernick's name on the back.
Yeah,
enough to make up for that investment.
Probably, and then if
he's even better than Peter, like, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me. But
well, here's the thing, you know why they won't? Because the league is actually in cahoots to not give him a job, and they're worried that if they offer him a job and he takes it, then his lawsuit is going to continue, and they're trying to kill the lawsuit.
Mm.
And how white and racist is the owner of the Bills? Can you pull up a picture of the owner of the Bills? Something tells me old white man.
Wouldn't it be funny if it's a 30-year-old black guy?
I mean, if it is, there's no goddamn excuse. We need to start making some calls. But
I like how I type in owner of Buffalo, and the first thing that pops up is Wild Wings.
And
Google knows me pretty well.
Winner is
Terrence Pagula and Kim Pagula.
the Pagula family. Terrence. Oh, God. All right. I want
He
you
looks
guys
like
to...
he looks like Andy Harris's less successful cousin.
That's what.
Like,
That's exactly what he looks like. His older, less successful brother
Yeah.
is who Terrence Pagula is, and his wife. Oh my! Wait.
Asian though.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense. You got to think that she's out there saying, "Terrence, what are we doing? Can we? Who's the GM of the Bills?"
She has a Twitter. Wouldn't it be funny if it's just like, hey, why don't the Bills on Kaepernick?
Yeah, I think everyone should start tweeting. What is
at
it?
Kim Pagula.
Is that really what it is?
Kimpegula.
And say, why haven't the Bills signed at Colin Kaepernick? Or
At Cap
Kaepernick
7.
5. Is it Cap 7?
Something like that.
At Cap 7. What? Go ahead and tweet at her.
I like how our pinned tweet. No, it's just the tweet up at the front is the thanks to all who serve. We honor you not just this month but every day. So maybe
Kim
she's
Pagula,
not-
at Kimpegula, and ask her why the Bills, her team that she owns, have not signed Colin Kaepernick yet. Let's get that started. Let's get that started right the hell now. Listen, if a week from now everyone is saying why haven't, why
and
not?
here's the thing:
something like
if you are going to follow through on this, make
Yes.
sure that you do it in a respectful manner.
Yeah, I mean
that's
don't-
the
come
easiest
on.
way to like get what you want in this sort of thing.
Yeah, don't dox the girl.
Yeah, or
the lady.
don't throw out things just like I know your husband's a racist, but maybe there's room for you. Sign Kaepernick now or something.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, maybe Terrence has one too. But if you are going to send a message to Kim and you're going to at Kimpegula, make sure you finish up that tweet with at O The Anthem.
Yeah, we
And
wanna see it, too.
everybody
We wanna
know
know.
where this started.
We'd like to follow along on the fun.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure it won't result in everyone getting blocked by an account that has like 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she's gonna get So let's do that. Let's start asking Kim Pagula why her team is not hiring Colin Kaepernick.
Just maybe put up pictures of Nathan Peterman and just being like, this is your other option. Sign Kaepernick. Why not?
Why not? Why not sign Cap?
Why not? I mean, it's
Hey, what's the league minimum right now?
oh god, it's probably $600,000.
Do you think they could sell that many jerseys?
Oh, I'm sure they could.
All over the country, people would be buying Bills jerseys.
That's the thing, though. I mean, there might be 3 people who buy it in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But there will be 100,000 people who buy it in.
No. There'll be a lot of people buying it in Buffalo to burn it.
Yeah.
So you get the double
money.
benefit.
Money spends the same, buddy.
Yeah, they buy it to burn it in Buffalo.
Kim Pagula, that money spends the same.
Like, they're not going to come out to the games. Newsflash, Kim. They're not coming out to the games anyway. It's in Buffalo. Half of your games are about to be played in Toronto because you can't get a crowd in Buffalo. People in Buffalo suck, all right? Just give Cap a job. Maybe you'll win some football games and you'll sell a lot of jerseys. Let's do that. I didn't think we were going to get off on this tangent, but I'm glad that we did. I'm happy about it.
Make up for OJ, why don't you?
Oh, don't do that. Don't put that guilt on her. I don't think she owned the team that time. That was probably
I don't think she was born when that happened.
not. All right, so let's. Should we wrap that up?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back here and. Oh, there's no video. Okay, I forgot to set the video game. But hey, there we go. I was gonna put us in Vegas because I was gonna say if I'm a betting man. No, not a lot of people are gonna be happy with what I have to say in this next segment.
Well, why don't we start up front, because the last couple weeks we're going to get into an honest discussion about what people should be doing with their votes.
Yes.
And hopefully being able to talk both sides of this thing. But I know for the last 30 episodes or so, anytime the prospect of the midterm election has come up, you've said don't vote.
Yep.
So why don't you pontificate on that for a few seconds before we get into why people should be voting for certain people?
I mean, what do you want me to say about not voting?
Well, I mean, you're a political science major. You believe in the free will of the people and everything like that. Why don't you think voting is an important part of a well-rounded citizenry?
Because, as Emma Goldman said, if voting changed anything, they wouldn't let you do it. Now, I know your argument's going to be, well, they are trying to keep people from doing it. But that's not exactly true. Because they want me to vote. They are doing everything they can to get me to vote. They're making it more difficult for everyone else to vote, which means that my vote counts extra. The problem is, it's this whole rock the vote, get out the vote thing. Like, you're motivating the masses to basically go out and, in the end, there are two trays that lead us to the same slaughterhouse. Mm-hmm. And people are acting like the Democrats are some big difference than the Republicans. They're not. We have a far-right party, we have a middle-right party, and we have nothing. That's it. So
and then Bernie over on the other end.
And we have we have people on the far left.
Bernie and Ocasio-Cortez just go, hey.
No, she's a social democrat. She's middle left, if anything. I am on the far left.
Yeah.
And we can't get our fucking asses organized for shit. So I'm not even bringing that up. Forgetting that, which is angering enough.
But so my point here is that, it's Monday, the 5th, the day before Election Day.
Right.
There's nothing we can do. I mean, like, the popular saying is the primaries are where you figure out who the candidate's going to be. Mm-hmm. On Election Day, you have to sort of, just shut up and take it. If you're a Democrat...
I got to pick between a turd sandwich and a giant douche.
So yeah, I know. But I'm saying,
make sure you go to the polls and you pick giant douche because giant douche is far superior to the turd sandwich.
I mean, the time to get better candidates was prior to the day before the election.
No, the time to get better candidates was August of 2014 when they started burning down Ferguson and we had a moment in time where we could have just risen up, but we didn't. Or New York in November of 2014 where they killed a different black man and we could have risen up and done something about it, but we didn't. Or Baltimore in April of 2015 where they killed yet another black man and we could have risen up and done something about it, but we didn't.
See, but
all of those times were good times to get candidates.
None of those incidents would have brought. There's not enough people who care enough about that issue to create an insurgency. That's the problem.
You think that this is the problem? You think that there's enough people who care about anything? That nobody cares about voting.
I mean,
literally, the Democrats do not have an organized resistance. They are saying Donald Trump is bad. Vote for us because we are not Donald Trump. I mean, that is not a party slogan.
Yeah, I know. And listen, it
is, by the way, it is Hitler's party slogan. His party slogan was, "I will do better than the Weimar Republic, than the liberals in the Weimar Republic. So vote for me because those guys are ruining your country." So all this talk about Hitler and fucking Trump, which is probably true. All I'm saying is the Democrats are taking a page out of the book. You know why? Because they're all on the right. They're all on the right, and all they want is your vote. And then on the 7th of November, no one will give a shit about you or any of your petty little shit. No, they won't care. None of them will care about anything.
All right, well, moving right into it. Shall we start with the House?
Sure.
Okay. So I have 538 up here because it's the easiest way for me to be able to pull up information.
Let's just go back and make sure. 538. What was their prediction on the 2016 presidential election?
They had it at a 3-4 chance that Hillary was going to win prior to the election.
They had her winning by 3%.
No, they had. That's not how they do that. So,
everyone, all right, so let's find a historical.
It's the way. It's the same way. Same way. Essentially, they're doing it now. They've changed it directly into a fraction to make it easier for people to understand. Because the way they had it before was how they have it here. 6 and 7 chance that the Democrats win the House, 85.7%. Right.
This is what they said.
Yeah, 71.4.
So so a 3 and
4 chance.
3 and 4 chance.
Yeah. So if you have a choice of going in 3 doors, and 3 of them is somebody who's going to sell you out and kill your family, and the other one is Donald Trump.
Yes.
Are you? I mean, like, just because you walked into the Donald Trump door doesn't mean that they were wrong, because there were things that happened that made it that way. And there were points in the election, like obviously when the Planet or the Access Hollywood tape came out and stuff like that, where they said it was going to be 86% chance that Hillary wins and stuff like that. But it was all fluid. It's all based off of
3 out of 4 chance of Hillary winning. Trump won 304 electoral votes. That is not a small margin.
No, but I mean,
a small margin.
It's 3 states that were within the polling error that switched that from a surefire Hillary win to a surefire Trump win.
My only point is maybe take 586 with
538.
538 with a little grain of salt.
I was about to say, I wouldn't necessarily believe everything I read on 538. Sure. It's just a really easy way for me to be able to look at things while we're talking.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's break it
and
on
because
down.
It's based off of they're just a collector of polls, not a place that makes polls on their own.
Sure. Yeah.
They make judgments as to whether or not polls are more legitimate or less legitimate. And you could argue whether or not that makes it true or not. But, for the sake of argument, it's the easiest thing for me to look at and talk at the same time.
Okay.
All right. So they have it as a 6 and 7 chance that the Democrats win the House. Mm-hmm. What do you say to that?
I say that is foolish. That is
foolish.
Far too high of a recommendation. I think that Nate Silver, in his infinite wisdom, if you want to call it that, is still not understanding the polling of localities. Now, Governor Hogan has spent $1.7 million polling in Maryland, as opposed to Martin O'Malley, who spent $373,000 over 2 election cycles. So Hogan has spent more in this election cycle than 6 times what O'Malley spent in 2 election cycles, Hogan spent in this one. So that means that whatever his data is for Maryland, do you have the Maryland race individually?
Yeah.
I guarantee you that race is probably accurate, because the polling data that exists is so detailed. So let's see. What is he saying about Maryland?
Hogan is a 79 and 80% chance of winning. 98.8%.
What about Andy Harrison
currently has a 16-point lead.
What about the House races in Maryland? That's what I'm looking at. Because Hogan is not doing just his own. He is doing, I see a little red dot.
Andy Harris, 99 and 100.
99 and 100.
99.4% chance to win.
Yes. So that I
trust. With the current forecast showing 58.6 to 38.1 over Jesse Colvin.
Yes. I guarantee you, given that Andy Harris will win that seat, because the polling data in Maryland is second to none. Right now, Hogan has done so much.
The other thing you have to consider, the other thing you have to remember too, is that internal polls are one of the ones I care to look at the least, because the only reason why that information gets released at all is because it's good news.
Oh no!
I mean, if Larry Hogan had a poll come back that said he's going to lose by 20 points to Ben Jealous, hypothetically, then he just wouldn't release any of that information from poll out to the public.
Not true. What he would do is to put everything other than his race, make it available on the Republican GOTV website. Here are the people you need to reach out to. Here's what our polling data is telling us. You need to, your Andy Harris, your focus should be family voters with less than 2 kids who make less than $70,000 a year, because those are what we're going to classify as independent voters. Those are swingable voters. That's what he's going to put on the website. And what 538 has access to is not only the National Democrat, but the National Republican database, and saying this is what's available on those databases. They're pulling from public available polling, like the Baltimore Sun, and they're pulling from polling data that's available to the campaigns, because once you put it on this website, you can't limit who sees it. Anyone who has access can see it.
Yeah, but not every single poll goes up there. Not every internal poll goes up there.
You're right. And I can guarantee you that Larry Hogan, who gets a bad poll, doesn't put that poll up there. But you know what poll he does put up there?
The good ones.
The information about the down ticket races for him. And for him, Andy Harris is a down ticket race, because he is hoping to push more Republicans into the state of Maryland purely by the fact that he's going to be there. So I will guarantee you that's accurate. Now, let's pull up another random race here that he has a high likelihood of a Democrat winning, right there in the middle of the bell curve.
What, like in Maryland?
No, just like a light blue district, very light blue. I'm seeing like a stripy blue.
Oh, well, that's like a toss-up where it's the Democrat has a high chance of winning.
Right. So
like the flip will happen.
So how is he giving that to the Democrat? That's the question. How are they deciding statistically to give that? My guess is there's going to be a lack of polling data, which was the problem in 2016, which is why they predicted Hillary having a 75% chance of winning, and she lost hugely in many states because local polling data was flawed. Because they had great national data that didn't reflect itself locally.
Well, that's not 538's fault.
It's not 538's fault.
They're going off the best information they have available.
All I'm saying is,
if you want to have better polls, then you got to talk to whoever your newspaper is about putting out better polls.
All I'm saying is 6 and 7 is voting is an estimate based on bad polling data and wishing for the best. Because Nate Silver, in the end, wants Democrats to retake the House.
No, he doesn't. I really don't think that Nate Silver gives a shit one way or the other.
I
really do.
I think he does.
I really don't. I hear him enough where I really don't think he gives a shit one way or the other.
Okay.
So right now, in the House, it's 240 Republican and 195 Democrat.
Yeah.
They are predicting that about 36 seats will change.
Okay.
So that would put it at 231 Democrat, 204 Republican.
And how many total seats are there? All the seats are up right now. That's right.
Yeah.
So 295 seats are up. That 36 seats will change.
Yeah, so it's 435 is the number of seats in the...
435. What did I say? 295. 435, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're saying that 36 seats out of 495 will change.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. That's a.
I mean, they basically they have it switching because they have it right now. It's 240 Democrat or 240 Republican.
Yeah,
240 Republican. So the 36 seat swing puts it at 231 Democrat, 204 Republican.
Okay, and I think that's fine. So 435, you need 215, 16, 17, 218 to have a majority, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how many can the Republicans lose without losing the majority?
22.
They can lose 22.
Yeah.
So I think that the safe bet is that they lose 20 and not 22. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I do think that they will retain the House. Now, there's a chance. I mean, 6 and 7 is a higher majority. Yes, maybe the Democrats take the House. Here's the problem. That's still a loss. It's still a loss if all they do is take the House. Because why?
Because they don't have the Senate?
Because they don't have the Senate. And why is the Senate important?
Because the Senate confirms things.
Because the Senate is really the only check on the...
That's not true at all. If the Democrats switch the House,
sure, yeah,
then they'll have the Judiciary Committee under Democratic control. They'll have
what is
oversight,
meaning that they could bring charges?
No, but they gonna make Jared Kushner come in and testify in public in front of the House.
Okay, and then where would any charges against?
They could bring in Trump Jr. and do the same thing.
And where would any charges go?
To the Senate. I get it, but I'm saying the Democrats can do plenty to make things difficult for the president if they just win the House.
They can make things difficult.
They can't pass a budget without the House.
You're right. They can't pass a budget. And what happens when they don't pass a budget?
I mean, realistically, or
no? What if they say we can't pass a budget? We're not going to give you a continuing resolution. What happens?
Government shuts down.
And historically, what party gets blamed for the government shutdown? It's happened several times in the last few years. What party gets blamed?
It's been about half and half the last couple years.
But why? Wait, why has it been half and half?
Well, because it's whichever party is in charge that usually
whichever party is in charge gets blamed for the shutdown.
Yeah.
So the Democrats' only tool is to shut down the government and then to take the blame for the shutdown after that, which means whatever good political capital they had going into 2020, they lose.
I mean, the overall problem that we have with Democrats right now is that they don't do anything.
Right.
And they don't stand up for anything.
Because
and
they're a right-wing party.
Yeah.
They're a middle right party.
Yes.
Which means they're looking at the Republicans like, you guys got some good ideas, but you're a little crazy.
See, I don't think it's so much as describing it as a middle right party. I think it's you used to call the Republican Party the Big Tent Party.
Yeah.
Where everyone was included.
No.
I mean, that was obviously
a long time ago.
many decades ago. But
that, I would have said that was before, I don't know, 1960, let's say.
Before Jim Crow stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that would have been back when the Republican Party included people like Teddy Roosevelt.
It's a big tent of people who count as 3/5 of a person.
Oh, yeah, so.
But the point I'm trying to make here is that the Democrats are more of the big tent party right now.
Sure.
And because of that, the Democrats have more concerns about pleasing their entire base, whereas the Republican base is very easy to please. You throw out a little racist thing, you say the migrants are invading us, blah, 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 blah. You've pretty much gotten 85% of the Republican base all lathered up, ready to go.
Sure.
With the Democrats, if you say universal health care, there are going to be 40% of Democrats who say, yes, goddamn it, about time. There's going to be 40% of the Democrats who say, over my goddamn body. And there's going to be 20% of the Democrats who will be for it and then against it and then for it and against it every single day.
All right, and
be calling their representatives every single day saying, I'm for it now, I'm against it now. Schumer said that it wouldn't cover prenatal vitamins, and how do you not count that? And I'm voting, I don't want you to vote for this if it doesn't count that, and blah, blah, blah.
The 40 who say, not over my dead body.
Yeah.
The reality of it is, they are not Democrats. They are Clinton Democrats.
Yeah.
When Clinton moved the entire party to the middle right.
Right.
In order to push the Republicans to the far right.
Well, I mean, this has been a continuing problem with the Democrats for our entire lives, which is, when
they're worthless,
when they feel the heat of a Republican Party on them, they say, well, we have to go to the middle. We have to go more to, and that was Merrick Garland right there.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that he would have been a good or bad justice, but the idea is that if Obama had a Democratic Senate when that vacancy opened up, he could have hypothetically gone as far left as he possibly wanted. To fill the vacancy. But he wouldn't have done that.
He could have put Al Franken on this.
Yeah, he wouldn't have done that though. He would have said like, oh, I need a moderate choice, somebody in between who leans 10% Democrat but is overall more moderate, as opposed to like a Gorsuch or a Kavanaugh who was like 80% on the Republican side of the scale.
Here's the thing: if there was a third party there, if there was a far left party, and the Democrats can take up the middle, and we have a far left party, and then there's a far right party. Wouldn't that produce the same thing? Wouldn't we get a Merrick Garland? Because the consolidation that's needed amongst the three parties says we can't get 60 votes for any of these people. What you need is somebody right down the middle in order to get the 60 that you have to have.
I would like it if it went back to 60.
Well, I mean, it's at 50 now, and it's never going back to that. But let's just say...
hypothetically, I'd love it if it went back to 60 votes.
Let's say that we had 10, I don't know, what do you want to call them? Democratic Socialist. Is that safe enough?
Sure.
Democratic DSM.
Bernie Sanders Democrats?
Bernie Sanders Democrats.
Yeah.
But in reality, these are Democratic Socialists.
Yeah.
Democratic Socialists become a new party. And we had 10 senators who are Democratic Socialists. And then a 45-45 split. No, wait. Yes, 45-45 split amongst the remainder.
Mm-hmm.
How much better operationally would the Senate be? There would be a period where nothing would get done. There would absolutely be a period where nothing would get done.
A long period where nothing would get done.
And
the problem is, I don't think, honestly, if it were to be, if you told me that you had 10 Bernie-crats and 45 traditional Democrats and 45 Republicans in the Senate, and let's just say, hypothetically, that every single one of these people held not only their political positions, but their jobs for
6 years?
No, like 24 years.
Okay.
Like many re-elections.
Okay.
Nobody was voted out. It just stayed exactly the same. Maybe, possibly, maybe at the end of 20 years or so, we could find some way to make that work.
See, I don't think so.
But the problem is that by the first 6, it would be chaos for the first 6 years of it.
No.
And by the time that was done, then everyone would have been voted out.
Because you only need 51. You only need 51 because the nuclear option's already been invoked, right? So
I'm saying the Democrats and the Bernie-crats would literally kill each other and nothing would get done.
Why? They can't agree on some things to get some things done?
They could agree on some things, but here's the problem. Most of the problem with our with the far left part of the Democratic Party is that they can't rationalize what is the most important thing at any given point in time.
Healthcare for all is the most important thing.
That's an issue that all the Democrats have been running on.
Yeah.
Every single Democrat has had some sort of ad or position on healthcare because that's the number one issue for the Democrats at this point in time. But I'm saying, as far as a Democratic socialist goes, if I said, all right, we're all in office, we're going to head out healthcare first. This is the most important thing we have to do right now. The problem is that all 10 of those Democratic Socialist senators would find some way to get in line on it, would find some way to make it happen, but all 10 of them would be saying like, well, what the fuck are we doing about racial injustice? What the fuck are we doing about this? What the fuck are we doing about that? Like, you would never. The problem with the far left part of the party is that they never can get their shit together for long enough to actually do anything. This is the problem with Occupy. It started out as we need to have criminal prosecution on the people who caused the financial collapse in the major banks and investment firms.
Yeah.
And then it went into 950 other things that had nothing to do with what was happening on Wall Street.
Right.
And became all equal parts of a massive problem that they couldn't fix now. That's the long and short of it. Like they just can't. As horrible and evil as people say the Republicans are, or as awful as you think their policies are, or anything about them, they all fucking fall in line real easy.
Yep. We hate everyone who's not white.
Trump. Nobody in the party wanted Trump to be the nominee. Then he's the nominee, and guess who all falls in line? Every single goddamn Republican.
Yeah. By the way, he called Ted Cruz's wife ugly and said his father was a murderer.
They may possibly, from time to time, say something negative.
Right.
Like, oh, I don't know. Jeff Flake getting up there going like, I strongly disagree with what the president said.
Yep.
Or Dean Heller. Like, I couldn't be more adamant against Donald Trump's position. But then 2 weeks later, when it's time to decide whether or not you're going to vote on it, you're going with Donald Trump's position.
Your argument is that this party, this left party, this Democrat party, is about to win the House and the Senate. That's your argument. Yeah. Because I just let you make the argument about why none of this matters, because they're not going to be able to put their shit together and they're not going to be able to win.
No, here's my, if you want my prediction as to what is going to happen,
sure.
I think it's going to be an outrageously good day for Democrats.
Okay.
I think that the swing in the House could be, if I'm just throwing a number on it, like 44 or so.
Okay.
I think that
defies logic, but all right.
No, it doesn't define logic.
Okay.
That's well within the meat. Like, if you're talking about the high end of the 80% grouping here on 538, it's plus 53 seats.
Okay.
So there's an 80% chance that anything between here happens, and on the very high end of it is 53 Democratic seats.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I think we're going to see about 40 to 45 votes, or 45 seats.
Okay.
Go Democratic.
Sure. In the House.
In the House.
Let's go move on to the Senate, because in reality, the House does not matter.
I mean, it matters. It matters a smidge, but nothing.
Anybody does not really matter.
Okay.
The slaveholders who built our country made sure that there was a check and balance on the proletariat. They said, we need to have a little bit of bourgeoisie, and it turns out they're all bougie, but a little bit of bourgeoisie control. So they created the Senate, who actually runs things. And what do they say about the Senate?
Okay, so the prediction right now is that the Senate has a 4 in 5 chance of staying Republican.
Right. Which I think is probably
80% chance, which is the same as they predicted for Hillary beating Donald Trump. Yeah. Just to say, so you don't feel so out of control here.
This time it's more realistic.
Yeah. 42 of the Republican seats are not up for re-election.
Right.
23 of the Democratic seats are not up. There's 35 that potentially could switch this thing.
Right.
Which means the Republicans only need to win 9 of the 35 in order to control the House.
Or to control the Senate.
Control the Senate, I'm sorry.
And most of the seats that are up for grabs are already Democratic seats, and some of them are in highly Republican districts.
Yes.
Highly Republican states.
Yeah, I mean, we have Texas and Wyoming and Nebraska. I mean, like, there's a lot of seats that just don't have a super high likelihood of changing.
Well, no, so the Texas seat, what's the polling in that Beto versus Ted Cruz?
7 in 9 chance that Ted Cruz wins.
Yeah.
But I think that, to me, everything Beto and above, anything that has a more of a that has a likelihood of going Democrat, Beto or above, needs to happen for the Democrats to get the Senate. You are going crazy with your toys.
So yes, everything Beto and above. Now, I think Beto's chances are better. Early voting in Texas this year has exceeded all of the last midterm voting. Yeah. So that means people who went out before the election day have exceeded the people who went out on election day last year.
Yes.
So that's a good sign, I think, for Beto. Early voting is typically a Democratic endeavor.
I think the fact that Ted Cruz is so horribly disliked is also a good thing for Beto. I mean, like, I really think there's a lot of Republicans who are voting for Ted Cruz, but really, really don't want to.
Yeah.
Like,
and people just may stay home. They don't like Ted Cruz.
I mean,
and they're just this is
the same problem with Hillary.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was just like, take your medicine and vote for Hillary. And, at the end of the day, a lot of people just stayed home.
Yep.
And people staying home in Wisconsin and Michigan and Ohio was the difference.
Right.
I mean, that's all she wrote.
So what else do we have? There's a couple of races that they're saying
so realistically,
the Florida race is up for grabs, right?
Yeah, I mean, they have it as a lean Democrat. So
that's the
Bill
Andrew
Nelson
Gillum.
is that's for the governor.
That's right. Yeah.
Bill Nelson over current Governor Rick Scott.
Right.
With like a 70% chance of winning.
And that would turn that seat.
Yeah.
And so let's say the Beto seat gets turned.
Right.
So that still means that they would still control the House even with the, the Senate.
If everything else stayed the same as far as party control goes, then that would be enough to switch the House.
So if they pick up Beto's seat and that Florida seat, that's enough.
Right. And
really?
Everything else remains the same. That's right. the hard part.
Right.
So
you can't have a Democrat lose anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, so we have where is it? North Dakota, Heidi Heitkamp is the incumbent.
Right.
But she is at a very tight race in a very Republican state.
Yeah.
And she had a hard time enough getting that seat the first time.
Yeah.
Without all the nonsense that's happening now. Same thing with Claire McCaskill. That's a really, really close state. She's barely in the lead in the polling.
Yeah.
But not enough that you would feel comfortable saying that she's like the front runner or the favorite. Because it's within 1% based off of this.
If they lose North Dakota, then you have to pick up one somewhere else.
Right.
Because you have to keep Claire McCaskill's seat and pick up one somewhere else.
So I mean, like, if you pick up Nevada, if you lose South Dakota South Dakota and pick up Nevada, then you get that one. If you pick up Arizona, you do the same thing.
And that's John McCain's seat, right? John McCain's seat is up?
No, it's Jeff Flake's.
Wait, did they put somebody in?
Yeah, John Kyle.
For the rest of his term?
Yeah.
They don't have a special election?
Nope. I think maybe if they do have a special election, it's the next time around. Because John McCain died after the primaries.
Oh, okay.
So they wouldn't have had time to field like a special election.
Sure.
They would have to have done it separately. And some of these states, remember that they line them up so that they don't have the same. They're never voting at the same time.
Yeah. No,
so you're not trying to do two seats at the same time in any state.
Yes.
Which is part of the 6-year idea.
But I want to, again, the UK, which is a modern Western democracy, must put together an election with 5 weeks' notice if a vote of no confidence goes through.
Mm-hmm.
But you're telling me that when John McCain died in June, July, when was it?
Wasn't that long ago. I think it was like August.
So still 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That they couldn't put together an election for him.
If you're wondering what that noise is, by the way, Carly Girl has decided to get some attention. Oh, I like how it didn't show up on the thing.
Because it's green. Hey,
it was just part of the city lights. Yeah, I think that to me, what feels right with my prediction on the Senate is that we're probably going to end up with a 50-50 tie.
Which is essentially a loss for the Democrats.
Yeah.
Because they're going to vote with Trump.
See, but here's the thing. I feel like if enough Republicans get embarrassed, especially Republicans who feel like... So let's put it this way. If Republicans like Andy Harris start going down, then I think that we're looking at a vastly different Republican Party on Wednesday. Then
you say that, but it doesn't. I don't.
Well, no, because I mean, if people like Andy Harris go, then the House has flipped by a lot.
Yeah, and he's not going to go.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like if somebody like Andy Harris is gone, then the Democrats have picked up 70, 80 seats probably.
Yes, probably more than that.
Something preposterous.
I mean, or.
I mean, there's a chance that Harris falls just because people don't like him.
Yeah, and
but I mean,
people don't like him, and they just don't vote. That's
right.
The thing.
And you get a Ehrlich vote where you win 50-49.
Yeah.
Because nobody showed up to vote.
Right.
Because they hated Kathleen Kennedy Townsend.
And I was gonna say the what you'll see is low turnout and like a 50-49 decision.
Yeah.
You're like, oh well, so that would have been 80-20.
It wasn't a mandate.
Yeah. If there was no turnout, if the turnout was there, it would have. Anyway, so. Here's the thing. The more important race is, I think, besides those two. Because in the end, if the Democrats lose the Senate, it doesn't matter. None of this have mattered. Blue wave crashes against a wall and fails. They can win the House by 80 seats if you want. It doesn't matter. If they lose the Senate, that's it. Because they can't do anything. But
if they have both, they can be a check on Trump.
Sure.
But they can't if they have...
If there's only one.
I mean...
if they win the Senate and not the House, they probably could still be a check.
If they... I think if you were a Democratic Party insider, you would want them to win the House or the Senate over the House.
Yeah.
But you got to take what you can get at this moment because
Sure.
basically everything is unchecked at the moment. And if you have the House, then Trump can't pass a bill.
True.
I mean, so you...
What, are you just going to stop vote, or you're going to vote everything down and just not send anything?
Yeah.
So then he starts...
I mean, I bring up the Ehrlich thing. I think that the Democrats' best plan for Trump for the remainder of his term here is number one, fucking find somebody who can run for president and win. That's should be the number one concern of every Democrat right now. But the thing is that you have to go and Carly, I swear. You're throwing my mojo off here.
Right here, I'm gonna put you on the camera. I'm gonna find her that toy.
What? The toy that she has in her mouth right there?
Yeah,
in front of me?
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it from her. Just put it up on the desk. Just put it up on the desk. Do you have it?
No.
I'll get it from her.
She ran away.
All right, you get it. Continue your thought.
I think that the most important thing for the Democrats right now is to just get to a point where they cannot possibly... where it's just wiping Trump clean, essentially. He can do his executive orders, you can try and overturn it, but you're never going to be able to, like, completely eliminate him from the possibility. You can just make everything that he says irrelevant, you know? Yeah. So funny, isn't it?
All right. Sorry about that. So, yes, except for he now has a Supreme Court that says he can basically do what he wants.
Yeah.
Though there is no check on executive authority. So if he decides to rule by executive order, what power do they have?
I mean, they could censure him, hypothetically, but then you wouldn't have enough votes to do that.
Right.
Unless you picked up all the seats.
So here's the deal. The worst thing you can do is to basically stop dealing with him, because then he becomes the tyrant. Now, I've been saying all along, I want him to become the tyrant. The reason I was saying in the fall of 2016, vote for Trump, which, by the way, I did say, and I acknowledge I said that.
Absolutely. So.
I was saying vote for Trump because this is what we need. We kept talking about needing a take your medicine mayor. Well, America needed to take our medicine, and we needed Trump. That's what we needed. We needed to be able to say, we have the most horrible leader imaginable, and we need to push him to the brink where he literally just tries to become a tyrant. Because without that, what do we have? We have more Hillary. We have more of this like bullshit where we're not really doing anything. We're not really, we'll just stumble along and stumble along and stumble along and nothingness, into nothingness. Now, at least, let's take the House and not the Senate. Let's censure him. Let's let him rule by executive order. He has the courts. He has nothing else. Let's let him do that. And then decide whether we really want to vote. Violently overthrow the elites. That's the kind of voting that I can get behind.
I admire your moxie, but I also like to say that Democrats are good for nothing and will never fucking rise up ever.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm not talking about Democrats. There is an organization of leftists happening that you have no idea, and it touches.
Oh,
out
I think
to
I have
the right.
I think I have a pretty good idea.
It's not Occupy.
It's 20 people.
Okay.
It's 20 people who, if everyone, if there was a quiet like, psst, pass it on, we're overthrowing the government on Thursday.
Yeah.
Kind of thing going on, 20 people would show up.
All I'm going to ask
there would be
is
20 people in masks and shirts that say "Not my president," showing up on the National Mall and getting ready to ready to overthrow the government.
Please don't.
And that will easily be taken down by Capitol
Please
Police.
don't dox or SWAT Corey. We live together. Or if you're going to do it during the day. I won't be here during the day. So do it during the day. If you're going to dox or SWAT him, please do it during the day, not at night while I'm here. That's all I ask. Show him your power. But no.
I'm not saying that if everyone wants to overthrow the government, I'm fine with that. Overall, my opinion is very populist. All of my opinions are very populist. If you guys want a universal health care, by all means, do it. If you have the votes, get it. If you can get
Who cares about the votes? That's the whole point.
If you can get enough people in the House and the Senate to get universal health care, that's fine. I'm fine with it.
What if we just drag everyone from the House and the Senate out to the gallows? And
it's
then
the same thing with Kavanaugh. Much like everybody else, I was saying to myself, why couldn't it be anybody but him? But at the end of the day, if you don't have enough votes to stop him, and he can get through what the majority of the American people have elected into their house, then
they are playing the game by the rules that are slave-holding, elected by 3/5 of a person representatives established. You are 100% right. The founders of this country, in their infinite wisdom, with their white landowning, slave-owning selves, they know best. So let's continue to use these institutions that they have put in place because clearly they know better than we do about how to govern ourselves.
If you want to change it, fucking change it.
I keep saying to change it. I'm saying overthrow the fucking thing and let's start over from the beginning. Leftists everywhere. Let's agree. We don't need to know what comes after this. We just need to push it over the edge.
If we have 1 million people show up in Washington, D.C. to overthrow the government, possibly, perhaps that would be enough.
And when the people's courts come,
and I just don't imagine. I
will testify against you when the people's courts come.
The thing is that there isn't 1 million people who would be willing to overthrow the government.
I think you are wrong about that. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the other thing that that really matters. If you're going to go vote, make sure you vote for the down ballot races, because half of the problem that you voters have now is that the governors and the local state houses have gerrymandered the districts so badly that you can't really swing the way that you should be able to swing.
Well, I mean, if we were talking about perfectly aligned districts, then you could also be talking about like the 80-seat swing for the Democrats if there was more of that. And
let's talk about how the Senate, which basically is a corrupt institution established by slave owners as a check on the power of the people, puts together a Supreme Court, which then tells the state, yes, you've gerrymandered this state so badly that it needs to be changed. But you don't have time to change it before the election. So go ahead and hold that election. And then after that, you're going to need to change it based upon the people who win in that election. Yeah. So after your gerrymander results come out, I'm going to need you to change that map to reflect more accurate population density. So that's it. That's how this system works. Just so, if you thought your vote mattered, that's how much it matters.
Can we talk some governor?
Sure. I was talking about down ballot races. Here's the governor's race, because eventually the governor is going to sign the gerrymandered new districts into law. That's why it's important.
So right now in the United States, do you know how many governors we have of each party?
I don't. I think they're slightly skewed Republican though, right? Like it's like 35. No, wait. Nope. It'd be more skewed than that. Is it 40? It's not 40-10, is it?
No.
35-15?
It is. I mean, so I'm going to count the independent, who is essentially a Republican, as a Republican in this example. But it's 36-14 Republicans right now. There. Yeah,
that's good.
But the prediction is that, at least according to 538, that we could be looking way closer to a half and half breakdown of governors.
Sure. The Republican governor of Florida probably will become a Democrat. Andrew Gillum. Who else? Who else are we looking at a switch?
Let's see here.
Georgia's in play. Stacey Abrams.
Yeah, Stacey Abrams. I mean, that one is, if you're looking at the percentages, it's within 2%.
Too close to
very,
call.
Very close. Kansas is a close one with Chris Kobach, the guy who was in charge of Trump's voter registration.
Also, Georgia and Kansas, two places where the person running for governor is in charge of helping to select who will vote for him for governor.
Yeah, and if you haven't been looking into the things in Georgia,
again, this is why would you think that voting matters? The whole point is they want you to vote and they want me to vote because they want to say, look at you, you're voters, you're responsible. Who cares about those others who can't vote? You are the ones who matter, so that we don't care about taking the vote away from someone else. And in the end, none of our votes really matter because they're going to put in who they want to put in.
Here's a couple important elections that could swing blue.
Sure.
A couple state houses that could swing blue, and absolutely probably should.
Maryland. Ben jealous.
Wisconsin.
Sure.
Scott Walker is in the fight for his life against a Tony Evans.
God, I hope
Evers,
so.
The Democrat.
I don't even care about who wins that race. I just don't want Scott Walker to ever be happy.
Yeah, it would mean a lot to me if Scott Walker would lose, because then he won't run for president again.
Yeah. Oh, also, Brendan Dassey and Steve Avery.
Yeah.
Might get their new trial if we get a Democratic governor there.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Rick Snyder cannot become governor of Michigan again because he's reached term limits. Mm-hmm. But perhaps if we get a Democrat in there, then he could face some criminal charges of some sort.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Criminals, but that's fine.
That would be lovely if that happened.
What about Illinois? How's Illinois looking?
Very blue.
Yes. Wow. Speaking of criminals, all right, and
you know what's really funny to me though? Two of the bluest states we have, Maryland and Massachusetts, are red governors,
yep.
And very happily red governors.
Yeah.
Charlie Baker is an enormously popular governor of Massachusetts.
To be fair, though, he is a Northeastern Republican. He's not a Trump Republican.
Right.
So, like, he is far more of a liberal Republican, I guess, centrist Democrat.
And that's Larry Hogan, too.
Yeah.
And
also, by the way, I can't speak for Massachusetts, but Maryland cannot field a good governor candidate to save their life. Oh, I'm sorry. They can't keep a good governor candidate alive to the November election to save. Oh, to save.
See, I don't even know if Hogan would have lost
Kamenetz. I think Kamenetz puts. He have you ever seen him speak in person?
Yeah.
He was fucking dynamic.
Yeah.
Everything that Ben Jealous is not, Ken Kamenetz was.
See, but Jealous's problem to me is not the fact that he's not like. It's not that he's not dynamic or something like that. It's just that none of his policies actually make any sense once you it's sort of the same problem that we had with Bernie, where it's like it all sounds really good, but then when you practically break it down as Bernie would have passed it, you just go like, well, that would have added $9 trillion to our national debt.
Yeah, by the way, we already did that, and at least we would have had health care.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying like if you're looking at it like saying like, well, Bernie's plan isn't the most economical way of doing this. Could we have done it Ben Jealous wants to pass universal health care in Maryland.
Yeah.
Which is, along the company line
Sure.
of universal health care across the Democratic spectrum. But the biggest problem is that he can't do anything about it as the governor of Maryland.
Yeah.
He can do something about it as a United States senator or a president or a congressman to a degree.
No, he could
but
give,
he can't
give
do
universal
it.
health care in Maryland.
No, he can't.
Yeah, sure he can.
No, he can't.
Why not?
Because
They have universal health care in Massachusetts.
There's an entire infrastructure in Maryland that would be completely thrown out.
They have universal health care in Massachusetts.
They have universal
MassCare.
Yeah.
Which is universal health care. If you live and are a citizen of Massachusetts, you get free health care if you can't
still have
afford
to
it.
sign up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of, you always have to sign up. What are you talking about?
You have to sign up. You have to be within. You can't have two healthcare. You have to be MassCare or else.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that not everyone is available to MassCare.
No, because if you do qualify for an employer plan or another plan, they don't put you on MassCare. The point is, everybody who doesn't have health care gets health care.
Yeah.
That's what universal health care means. It
Right.
means everyone gets health care.
But it's not.
It's not single payer.
Yeah.
He's not saying single payer.
He is saying single payer.
No, he's not saying single payer.
Yes.
If he is, then he's a fucking idiot because you can't do single payer in a state. I heard him saying universal health care, which just means everyone gets coverage.
Let me find this thing
Okay.
while we're...
How about this? My point is, yes, Ben Jealous sounds like an idiot. And if this is his fucking plan, then he probably is an idiot. But my second point is that Ken Kamenis could have said the same thing, though. But much like Martin O'Malley, you don't realize it's bullshit until later. Like, you feel real great leaving the rally. And then on the ride home, you're like, did he say universal health care? Like, he can't do that, can he? But then, you go to question him at his next event, and next thing you know, you're wearing a fucking My Heart's with O'Malley sticker, and you're like, how the fuck does this keep happening? I don't understand. And then next thing you know, you're standing inside. I was walking out of a voting booth like, fuck, did I just vote for Martin O'Malley for president of the United States?
Did that
What's
happen?
wrong with me? Was I the one person in Iowa sitting at a Martin O'Malley event? Where did my life go so wrong? But yeah, no, I'm saying that that's what Ken Kamenis brought to it, is that he could say the same things, but he made you believe it because he was so good at speaking. He was dynamic, and that's what you need. You need a dynamic Democrat to beat the hard ground Republican conservatism, true Republican conservatism. So
I will say this: I think of any politician in the country right now, I think that Larry Hogan is my favorite.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I'm gonna. He's just. He just makes the most goddamn sense of anybody who's out there, to me.
And you know why I don't vote? Because your vote counts the same as mine, and your vote would nullify mine out.
Are you voting for Jealous?
No, but the fact that you think Larry Hogan is your favorite candidate in the country right now.
Well, that's just saying how bad the candidates are.
I mean, it is. That's why we should just eliminate the entire elected class and start over again. Let's do what Thomas Jefferson said and go to find some farm boys and bring them in and make them governors and senators and term limit them. Three terms for a senator and 6 terms for the House. And every 18 years, we have brand new fresh blood in there. Nothing, at least 18 years.
I would enjoy that very much.
Yes. So your down ballot races definitely matter. In so much as all of them matter, which means they don't matter. But Corey thinks that they matter. So go vote.
Hold on.
And by vote, I mean violently overthrow the elites.
I finally found the thing that I was looking for here.
And what it's going to say is he's for universal health care.
This is a
for
Baltimore Sun.
Yep.
Where they asked a couple different things. Here we go. What we asked. Maryland had good news recently with a reduction in premiums for health care on the individual marketplace, but that solution may not be permanent and only affects one part of the healthcare landscape. What are the next steps Maryland should take to make healthcare more accessible and affordable? The governor, Larry Hogan, emphasized his administration's success in working with Maryland's healthcare stakeholders to renew and expand the state's Medicare waiver with the federal government and to get the Trump administration to sign off on it, and his work with the legislature on a reinsurance program that led to lower rates on Maryland's Obamacare exchange. He said he's open to efforts to rein in prescription drug costs. What Jealous said. The Democrat would establish a 2-year study process to move Maryland towards a single-payer Medicare for all system. He supports a new regulatory body for prescription drugs, reimportation of drugs from Canada, and other measures to reduce their prices. And then the Baltimore Sun said, Hogan wins this one. His track record shows his commitment to expanding healthcare access is in a pragmatic approach to improving quality while lowering cost. Mr. Jealous may be better on prescription drugs, but his quest for single payer is quixotic. It would require a massive upending of Maryland's healthcare system and economy and would require approvals by the federal government that are extraordinarily unlikely.
Yes. By the way, quixotic, where does that come from? Come on, man.
Hold on. I know. Don Quixote.
Don Quixote. That's right. Yes. Don Quixote.
But yeah, I get why people like Ben Jealous. I get why people don't like Ben Jealous.
I don't like him.
He's way too fucking far.
Yes.
I love whoever crafted the Hogan line of if you liked Martin O'Malley, you're gonna love Ben Jealous. Really was thinking on their toes with that one.
All right, so how about any other down ballot races you really want to talk about?
Just one.
Sure, go ahead.
This is a local one, so for
local
all the
to California,
local to downtown.
Okay, sure.
L.A. So anybody who is listening to the sound of my voice who has a vote in downtown Los Angeles, there is a vote for the Assemblyman District 53.
Jesus, that's fucking specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you are within that, inside of that assembly district.
So if you live in our building or the garage across the street.
If you live within 5 blocks of my voice right now, you are, I swear if I find out that any of these people can hear this and aren't doing this, if you vote for Miguel Santiago, you are a big fat fucking idiot. So bad. Huge fucking idiot. That would be like voting for Hillary all over again.
Again in 2020?
Yeah.
Like, well, she'll get it this time.
It's like a worthless, fruitless exercise in democratic, just in your mind, middle America. Anybody who isn't Assembly District 53.
Yes.
Imagine that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi had a kid, and that kid grew up to be an assemblyman in the state of California and was even fucking more cowardly than the two of them combined. That's what you have in Miguel Santiago. Do not, under any circumstances, vote for him. Do not put his name. He's going to win. He's going to win by a lot. It's going to be like Andy Harris all over again.
Who's his competitor?
Kevin Zhang.
Okay.
Who I reached out to earlier in the election cycle and said, I will happily come to your office with a camera and shoot you making a video that you could put up on Facebook.
For free.
For free.
Yeah.
I will volunteer my time and edit this video for you just so you can put it out there and maybe just take out a little snippet of the Santiago vote. And it's not happening. If we're talking about overthrowing the government, let's start with Assembly District 53 because every single person who's being touched by Miguel Santiago's awful influence and cowardly politics is worse off for it. And I think that we need to do everything we can in our power to keep him from being our assemblyman again.
The revolution begins here.
And the good news, if you're listening to this and you're in downtown California and you're a Democrat, which is pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Just about 99% of the people here, except for Rachel. You can feel good knowing that a vote against Miguel Santiago isn't a vote for a Republican. It's a vote for another Democrat because California is a top 2 state. It's 2 Democrats in that race. It's 2 Democrats in the U.S. Senate. You can't lose.
Yes.
Don't vote for Dianne Feinstein.
That's the
vote
other
for
one.
Kevin De Leon.
Yes.
There's no reason to vote for Feinstein. She's already proved her worthlessness to you. You can move on to somebody who has yet to prove their worthlessess to you.
I mean, certainly will. Just give him a decade or two.
Eventually will show his worthlessness to you. But I mean, like right now, his pockets aren't filled with all that campaign cash because he's not expected to win. It's not like people have been shoving special interests into his pocket. So in the meantime, Kevin De Leon seems like a wonderful choice over Dianne Feinstein.
Sure.
I would tell you, I'm this close. I'm really like, thank God I waited until election day to vote. I'm fucking this close to voting for John Cox over Gavin Newsom too. This close.
You heard it.
Because Gavin Newsom is so fucking terrible. I can't even believe he's if you're talking about Maryland has a Democrat problem of finding people to run in these elections, the fact that Gavin Newsom was allowed anywhere near the front of that line is shockingly horrible.
Well, he was lieutenant governor. I mean, technically
but lieutenant governor who doesn't do anything. By the way, did you know that California you can vote for lieutenant governor separate from governor?
Yeah. It's like a presidential election, which is why we should put Cal Exit back on the vote. We need to vote for it because we're all set up.
Prop
we're
9
all ready.
Prop 9 is gone. That was the one that was
Cal exit.
split. No, it was split California into 3 states.
That's right. Yeah.
And that should be gone because I don't
Republican
agree with
tool.
that. Yeah, that's just trying to get more Republican votes in California.
Yes.
Because they were literally just making one state out of Los Angeles.
No, it was the Bay Area and Los Angeles.
Yeah, it was
just
like
the coast. All the Democrats just cut all.
It was
the
like a
Democrats
Maryland
out.
District 1 version of California.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's get every single Democrat we can. It's a one little state, and then 2 more states that are Republican.
2 Republican states. Which, by the way, in true Republican fashion, neither one of them had nearly as much population as the one Democratic state. Let's not split it up evenly by population. No, one really large by population Democratic state and 2 relatively small Republican states by population.
The one Democratic state would have been like 6 times the size of the 2
by population.
Yeah, combined. Because you're talking about 2 of the top
metro areas,
10 cities.
Yeah.
In the country,
but by the
way, San Francisco is actually small because it's small. It's very stuffed.
It's Oakland.
Very stuffed with people, but it's very
that's why
small.
I said metro area.
Yeah,
it's San Jose,
Oakland,
it's Alameda, Oakland, and San Francisco all together.
Silicon Valley and everything like that.
But in the end, their whole argument was an Orange County Republican is not the same as a Humboldt County Republican. So those need to have 2 different states. But we're going to stuff an Oakland Democrat and a LA Democrat all in one big state. So
I disagree fervently with that because
Yes.
I think that a Humboldt Valley Republican is the same guy who would vote for what's his name? Nunez.
Yes.
Kevin Nunez.
Yeah,
if he was running in Humboldt County, he would absolutely vote for that guy too. It doesn't matter.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Prop 7. How are you voting on Prop 7?
Oh, which one is that?
Prop 7 is to eliminate standard time in California. We will always be on daylight savings time, meaning that we would be 4 hours ahead of the East Coast for part of the year.
And 3 hours.
3 hours ahead for the rest of
I'd
the
have to do the math all the time. Or?
Yeah. Like, wait, what part of the year is it in? Okay. Well, they're in daylight savings time, so we're 3 hours ahead.
This is one of those things I love and hate about California.
Yes.
We dream big on things like eliminating daylight savings time, and that thing might pass by a lot.
Yeah.
And then you realize that we can't actually change it without federal oversight.
No, we can.
No, we can't. It takes a congressional amendment to.
Well, I mean, Arizona just doesn't recognize daylight savings time.
I think
they stay in standard time.
Yeah, I think there's a reason for that.
Nope. The state's divided in half by mountain and time, so that they just stay in daylight time.
Yeah, I think they have the congressional oversight in which.
All I'm saying is,
if California comes to the let's just call it Republican government right now,
yes,
and says we'd like to get rid of daylight savings time.
No, we'd like to keep it year round.
We'd like to keep it year round. We would rather not change our clocks back and forth all the time. The Republican government will go, "Oh, we've seriously considered your idea, California, and we're going to say no. Fuck you."
One more reason for Cal exit. Whatever it takes to Cal exit.
That's really what we should focus on. I think I think we should line up a Cal exit with the Democratic primary.
Yeah, hey.
Like if 2020 rolls around and it's Hillary and O'Malley and Bernie and Biden and all these people,
which Kamala Harris probably,
maybe
Cory Booker.
California's got an early primary now though.
Yep,
because they're going to be 3rd or 4th or in line.
They don't want to be on Super Tuesday anymore. So
second Super Tuesday. Late Super Tuesday.
No, yes, they didn't want to be in the late Super Tuesday.
Well, they were like the 4th to last before.
Yeah.
So,
and half the candidates are gone by the time you get to California. The second most populous state in the union. Anyway, so vote yes on Prop 7. Let's get rid of... and by the way, Prop 7 probably will pass to get rid of daylight savings time, or to get rid of standard time. Prop 6 probably be 50-50, which is to save roads and bridges and infrastructure in California, because nobody really knows what it is. I've not seen one yes on 6 proposition commercial, but I had people sitting around today like, yeah, it's weird I haven't seen one. Maybe they're so confident they don't need it. I'm like, no, it's because no one thinks it's a good idea. My understanding is that it undoes something that...
The gas tax.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It undoes something that the
repeals,
government did.
Yeah, so one last thing, I guess, since we're getting into proposition talk now,
all the down ballot votes matter.
Make sure that before you walk into the voting booth tomorrow, you've gone over everything on your ballot.
Yes,
because sometimes there. I mean, in California, this can be very. It's very feisty.
Yes,
watching the ads saying like, if you vote no on Prop 3, then you're going to keep people who are on dialysis from getting the treatment they need.
Right.
And then you go like, oh, shit, I don't want that. And then you realize that a no on Prop 3 is exactly what DaVita and all the dialysis clinics in this country who are making buku bucks off of dialysis patients want. And then you say like, oh, well, I don't want to vote with them. And then you realize that like all of these things don't believe any of the advertisements.
Yes.
Just read what it says.
Read the proposition.
Find out the people who are for and against it, and then you should have a pretty good idea where you want to vote based off of for or against.
But vote no.
If it's something like that, like if you see that the yes vote is pro DaVita and pro dialysis clinics and pro standardized medicine of some sort, and then you look at the no and it's like doctors and emergency room workers, nurses of California, healthcare professionals. Like,
knows you're probably you're good.
Yeah.
But definitely don't vote no on 6 because my favorite thing about California is that nothing the government does and no one we elect is safe. We can recall anyone that we want. We can undo any act of the state legislature all through proposition.
Yeah.
And you need like 10,000 votes to get it on the ballot. It's amazing.
Yeah.
In a state with this many people, you can get it on the ballot with so few votes.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
And the fact that we can pass a proposition to have a gas tax to be able to pay for the changes or pay for the improvements of the roads, and even before they spend any of the money, you can have a recall on that vote.
It's fantastic.
It's like they didn't even get a chance. Trust me, they spent a shit ton of money on the gas tax on preparing themselves to be able to do this, but they haven't been able to do anything because this is all hanging in a vote. So
yeah. I love California. This is why we need to be our own country, because basically we already have our own political landscape, and we got 2 Democrats running against each other. Why not? If that sounds like a perfect country to you, move west, young man. Come to California.
Though it is Gavin Newsom and John Cox in the governor's race, and that's not 2 Democrats. So just know that Gavin Newsom's a big fat fucking loser, and John Cox is probably criminally unhinged.
Yes,
and that's your choice. It's like
giant douche.
It's like the 2016 election all over again.
Turd sandwich, giant douche. Welcome to politics. Yes. So basically, what we've covered in tonight's podcast is that the 2018 election, midterm election, is essentially Drew Carey on Whose Line Is It Anyway? We're all just having fun, and the points don't matter.
So real quick before we say goodbye,
yes,
you were saying that by the next time we podcast, we're going to have a Republican House, Republican Senate still.
I am saying we are going to definitely have a Republican Senate still, and the likelihood that we have a Republican House is much better than the 6 out of 7 that they give.
Do you want to throw out a random number for like how many seats there are each way?
Here's the thing. I can't say, because the swing is so big, I can't say for sure. But I will tell you that I think the Democrats are going to only swing between 20 and 24 seats. Now, the problem is 20 to 24 seats swings the House.
Barely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it does.
I mean, 24 seats is a 219 to 216 majority for the Democrats.
So I predict somewhere between 20 and 24 Democratic swing seats, and they may take the House. They may not. I think the date is bad.
Okay. But the Senate stays red.
Stays red.
Okay.
They can't pick the seats.
I say that we're looking at a 40 to 45 seat swing.
Okay.
So Republicans will basically be at 200 or under.
Mm-hmm.
And the Senate, I think it just ends up being 50-50. But
which
maybe
is the same as Democratic loss.
Yeah. And the governors, I don't know, split 50.
I wish I knew all the governors who are running. I think let's focus on races. I want Stacey Abrams to win. But that is my heart, and I have no faith in the voters of Georgia.
I am also pro Abrams.
Yes.
I am pro Hogan. I am pro Gillum.
Yeah, sure, Gillum. Yeah.
And I will literally decide California tomorrow on my way.
I
will have to take a soak and think about it. I'll have to sit out in the California sun and let the rays hit me. And
the most important thing, though, is if you live in Wisconsin, do not vote for Scott Walker.
Yeah, please don't vote for Scott Walker.
Let's get rid of him.
Yeah.
Once and for all. We can get rid of him. It's like Martin O'Malley. If we can get him out of the governor's mansion, maybe one more presidential election we have to deal with him.
Yeah.
Then most likely he's gone forever.
Yeah, never have to see him again.
And he'll be gone by Iowa. Like, really, he'll just be in Iowa. It'll be disappointing. It'll be a Jeb Bush, like, please clap. And then we'll be gone.
It's another one, too, with Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
If Ted Cruz loses to Beto,
yes. Yeah.
We may never see Ted Cruz again.
God, let's hope so.
He might just take his 6 to 7 figure lawyering job.
Yep.
At some like Philip Morris or something like that.
Probably.
And we may never see or hear from him again. So please, people of Texas, I don't think Beto's the best candidate, but he's the only person running against Ted Cruz who has a legitimate shot of winning. So please vote for Beto.
Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
All right.
I really think that Beto O'Rourke should have just sold T-shirts that just said Beto O'Rourke. Not Ted Cruz.
that is the best slogan you could have gone.
Because you would have sold so many of those T-shirts.
Just not Ted Cruz.
Just me, like buying it and wearing it around LA, just going like, hey, look at this, not Ted Cruz.
Oh, Ted Cruz. You're an awful human being.
Well, if you want to find more pulse pounding and excitement from the election, you know where you can go?
Where's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line. 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. And you can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com. Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm and at LegendsDB5 on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. There was no review last week because there was no movie scene last week. But there will be there will be a review this week because either I'm going to see Bohemian Rhapsody at some point before Thursday, which I would like to do tomorrow if you're up for it.
I guess
your game.
See. Yes.
Or at the very least, we might have our first Netflix movie being reviewed.
Oh, The Other Side of the Wind.
The Other Side of the Wind, which I've been preparing for. I've been watching You'll Love Me When I'm Dead.
Yeah, you watched like 40-50% of it.
I watched the first 40%. I watched another like 20% after that last night before falling asleep. And I'll finish it up tonight before I watch Other Side of the Wind. Probably tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Super. Well, okay. You can find more of me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks, as it says right there. You can check out robertncheek.com where you can find links to my political blog, the news website, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you. Also, it is NaNoWriMo.
From the void.
It's NaNoWriMo once again. So you can go to NaNoWriMo.org and sign up to write your first novel. Of the 4 novels I've had published, 2 of them were written during NaNoWriMo, and I have 2 other ones that were written during that I just never finished and didn't publish. But I'm going to be working on my YA novel, which I should have finished earlier this year, and I didn't, which is not going to be ready for publishing, but I will have a book by the end of this year. So that's exciting stuff coming up.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right. Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But remember, everybody, get out there and vote.
Yes. Especially not for Miguel Santiago.
Violently overthrow the elites. Vote. But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
And remember, if you take them out in the back of the kneecaps, they can't walk anymore.
Who are you saying that about?
What?
I was just talking about taking out the elites, and now all of a sudden you're like saying actual specific things about things to do to the elites. I don't really...
Listen, the 20 people who show up and get taken down by the Capitol Police, it'll be fine. It's okay. They already know about
the revolution. Remember, it starts in the 53rd district for the assembly. Downtown.
Kevin Chang is going to be the leader of the resistance.
Oh, my God. I've seen some footage of him. He does not a resistance leader make. I apologize. No, I'm calling it off. No more revolution.
Standing in the middle of Grand Park just like, come on, guys, let's do this civilly.
We're calling off the revolution. Sorry, guys. We'll come back next year. It's fine.
See ya.